Hello, this is Alex Calvo Garcia. You're listening to the Iron Hour podcast.
Iron fans, and for those joining us for the first time, welcome to this jam-packed episode of the Iron Hour podcast, brought to you in association with TalkSport Fan Network and proudly sponsored by No Film, Hole in the Wand, AC Videography and Photography, and Best Blanks Wholesale. Now, before we get started this week, the Iron Hour podcast would like to send our thoughts to Harry Shipstone, all the family and friends of Jamie Shipstone, who tragically passed away suddenly on Friday at the age of 60. We also send our best wishes to the family and friends of lifelong Iron fan Ian Grant, who sadly passed away on the 8th of January. Well, that's the sad stuff out of the way. What a week it has been. We are finally blessed with some actual football taking place at Glanford Park on Tuesday night after the FA Trophy fixture against Clitheroe was postponed on Saturday, meaning we had to wait until Tuesday to overcome the Step 4 side and progress to face Horsham in the next round. This all pales in significance to the revelationary interview with Michelle Harness on BBC Radio Humberside before the game on Tuesday, and so much was discussed, including the teasing of a new signing. And we can now say the prodigal son has returned. On Thursday, it was announced that Connor Smith returns to the Iron on a 2.5-year deal. And coming up on this week's episode of the Iron Hour podcast, we review that FA Trophy game. We talk all the transfer and injury updates. We dissect the Michelle Harness interview, take questions from the fans. We have our usual Spy in the Camp, which this week features DAZN commentator and Morecambe journalist Dave Salmon. And of course, we preview the upcoming league trip to league strugglers Morecambe. Well, our front three is absolutely frightening. We're talking Roberts, Whitehall, and now Smith. It's very 2024. It's very retro. Speaking of front threes, joining me on the podcast this week is my hand-picked panel of football connoisseurs. First of all, everybody's favourite drunk football lout. It is, of course, Mr. Marco Poliga.
What an intro. What an absolute intro. And I'm really happy to be here. It's a really positive week for the club. I know there's been some really sad news regarding fans passing, and I thought Tuesday was fantastic. The moment we gave to Harry, especially coming on, which was fantastic. And again, credit to Butler for actually giving him that opportunity. But look, what a week and what a day today has been. And happy to be here. So, yeah, and again, like you said, what a front three. We would tear any League Two defence apart.
We'd have a good go. Well, of course, we'll have a look. Speaking of having a look, it's everybody's fan favourite. I'm not going to say drunk football lout. I'll say vlogger. I'll say man of the people. I'll say people's princess. It is, of course, Gareth Holden, or as he is affectionately known to most of our listeners and viewers, Iron Army. But I call him Gaz. How are you doing, Gaz?
I'm very well, thank you. It's been a busy week here. I've been in the hospital for my shoulder. Debbie's signing contracts, and she's not signed for Scunthorpe, by the way. And also, just while we're on the signings of players, Michelle Harness lied to me on Tuesday. Lied to me.
Well, yeah, there is a reason for that. The last time you were given sensitive information, you ended up in a video, right? So we can't be having anything like that happening again. I think she did it for your own good, mate. She's protecting you.
Well, thank you, Michelle.
Yeah. So just to give the listeners a bit of context, Gareth, because he likes to get in where water doesn't, simply asked Michelle on Tuesday, was it Connor Smith? And she said point blank, no. Yeah, she lied to you, Gareth.
I wasn't going to ask her, but Barra's like, find out who it is. So I tried to find out who it was. No good.
Right.
Nice.
Yeah, nice. We've got the pleasantries out of the way. I thought this week we would kick off straight away with the questions from the fans. As we've said, it's been an explosive week. There's been a lot happening, and really the football has been secondary to it all. So I'll kick off with a question from Harry Corkwell, and I'll go to you, Marco. And Harry says, undisclosed fee, how much do you think we were paying? And I never thought I'd see us paying for a player again. Well, just before I ask you that question, we did pay a fee for Mark Beck as well, right?
Yeah, it's hard not to laugh at it. That again,
Matt Beck, Connor Smith.
Yeah, look, I like Matt Beck as a person, and it's good to see him doing well, and I hope he kicks on for Gateshead. But yeah, it's not very often we see a fee for a player. I know we were linked with him in the summer. Obviously, the price tag was too high. Again, this is all, especially with this being undisclosed, it's all very sort of hush hush. Um, but yeah, you can imagine if we weren't there or thereabouts in summer, it was obviously again, it's really hard to say now in modern football because a lot of transfers, even at your top level, are all undisclosed. So yeah, look, it's positive. It's really positive news. But yeah, I'm not Kieran Maguire. I can't be giving figures out for transfers. But look, I think it'll be substantial. The fact that Michelle made it a talking point in the interview with Ollie on Tuesday just shows the direction the club are going in. And again, it's not. We were speaking, saying there's a lot of pressure on this player coming in, but because of that interview. But look, it's only because we know the talent that Connor Smith's got and the talent that he possesses that we believe in him, and obviously the club does, and they're willing to pay a fee. So yeah, look, it's a really positive signing, and obviously one we're going to discuss.
You said there, didn't you, that a lot of pressure was put on by the announcement being made on Tuesday. If that had fallen through, I think we're talking heads on pikes.
Well, just Matt Beck recalled.
Yeah.
He'll do.
Yeah, I think there'd have been some serious ramifications. Next question is from Nick Bell on X. Nick says, first of all, what a statement signing this is, and probably one of the worst kept secrets ever. Where do you see Andy Butler playing Connor? Is it okay if I'll take that one? Because just come off the back of listening to the latest Andy Butler interview on BBC Radio Humberside, where he says Connor Smith can play in a front three, has been playing as an 8 and a 10, and even has seen him play as a number 6 so far this season. But he said he would struggle to get in our midfield. So realistically, he does see him as playing part of a front three. So that's the answer to that one. Nick?
I'll just put it in there, sorry. So do you see that as a direct replacement for Fleming?
Has to be. Yeah, I think that's exactly what it is, Marco. What say you?
Yeah, no, obviously Fleming had that sort of pace. But yeah, as an overall footballer, I mean, you'd argue Connor Smith's a much more rounded player. When what we've seen of him, obviously playing in the Premiership in Scotland, I know he's been in League One now.
Yeah, does that worry you? Because you are talking about the third tier of Scottish football.
Well, yeah, but look, we know a lot of his career has been based on location. He's only ever played in Scotland, barring his loan spell at us, with obviously his Scunthorpe links. And what better way to come and prove that you're good enough than a 2.5-year contract in Scunthorpe and a team on the up? So yeah, no, I'm concerned with anyone. We could sign Haaland tomorrow, like Butler joked about, knowing how lucky he'd do his ACL in the first game, especially on our pitch for a minute. So look, it's a really positive signing. We should treat it as such. But yeah, I agree. I think I think Howe and Smith on that left-hand side, it's really good competition for places. Same with the other side, you'd argue Roberts, Carlton can play across for free. It's really good news. Like there's no way even the most negative of Scunthorpe fans can not play this down as not a positive for the club and a statement of intent.
Right, Gareth, Nick goes on to ask another question, and he says, I know there is one more loan player to come in, but where do you see us finishing in the table now that we've signed Hurst and Smith? So I'll follow up with a question also adding on that. Hurst is probably one that's gone under the radar. I know Marco is quite happy with that signing. How do you see that signing? And asking Nick's question there, where do you think we'll finish in the league?
Wasn't Hurst playing the wing as well?
I think he's a winger, isn't he? Primarily a winger, yeah.
Yeah. So, we're getting some wingers in. Obviously, we're going to get the balls back. Maybe we are recalling Mark back as well to get the balls whipped in. Beck there to knock him in. But no, I think we'll still be in the playoffs. I can't see us finishing top. We could do, but I can't see it. I think maybe.
I'll ask you another question. So, like I said, so this front three is a little bit retro, but I wanted to talk about the fact that football, like everything in life, seems to be cyclic. And I'm seeing a lot more this season, guys, of teams employing wingers. Wingers getting to the byline and getting crosses into the box. Do you think Butler's embracing that then? When we look at the players he's signing, like it seems a much more like traditional route, right?
Yeah, Yeah, no, I think it works as well. I know the ball into the box the other day for Whitehall was just like Carl Roberts knocking it straight back in. Maybe they weren't expecting that, and obviously they had a player off the pitch as their manager moaned about. But yeah, I think it helps if we can get players running in as well, and then cutting in and going into the box, not just to the byline, but trying to get into the box as well. There's always a defender there leaving a leg out or something, But yeah, if we get the balls crossed in and put in, then it just creates more chances, and hopefully, we put the ball in the back of net and don't try and walk in.
Butler did talk about that, didn't he? He did talk about the fact that some fans seem to be getting on his back for the team not shooting enough.
He got some grief the other night, to be fair, from roundabout where I was sat. There were people shouting at him and he responded like pointing at whoever it was that was shouting, but I don't think it was the ones that he thought that were shouting at him that normally do. But he did get a bit of grief. It's rubbish. It's this. It's that. And it was just like, well, but it's the same people normally.
I prefer not to speak. If I speak, I am in big trouble. Marco, next question from Jack Mitchell. Jack says, if teams keep swapping ends at kickoff, why don't they put Scunny fans behind the other goal as well as away fans, as they usually put in the corner, and there's only 18 of them sometimes?
No, it's true. It's true. And yeah, look, it's not going to change. I think you've got to take it as a compliment. They obviously think they can sort of rattle us or be in our heads by doing that. And look, you can't blame, especially, again, with all due respect to Clifford, barring the manager. Smaller teams come into a big team to them on paper. We're going to do every single thing we can to try and manipulate the game into their favour. And look, if we were going to, say, Chelsea away, I'd want us to do the same. It's only natural. I don't think putting Scunthorpe fans behind the other net would work very well. Purely on the basis, I don't think there's enough of us that would want.
We'd be scrapping. We'd be scrapping, like.
Yeah.
We'd put Gareth away.
Yeah. So look, I think we've got to take it as a compliment. It's up to the player to sort of rise to that. Look, you're professional footballers. You want to score no matter what end you're at. It really doesn't matter. So yeah, look, is it frustrating? Yeah. But yes, there's bigger issues, and look, if teams are coming and doing that, it's a sign of weakness, in my opinion. So yeah, I think it's game on.
So I think what Marco said there as well about the fans going behind that goal. It might happen for one game, just a bit of novelty getting behind there, but the following week they'll be back on the dray, and
yeah, what fans are you likely to get behind the goal? You're not going to get the hardcore singers, are you?
You've got
those ones that want something new, just to.
And you've got your season tickets are all in the correct stands in the dray or in the correct seat, so it just wouldn't work. It's a really nice thought. And look, eventually, when we're back in League Two, hopefully, we can maybe get some fans in there. But for now, we're averaging 4.5, 4. I mean, Tuesday night was 1,200 fans there, so you're not getting any Scunthorpe fans behind that goal. So yeah, but yeah, a big shout out to Clifford Rose following on a Tuesday. I know it's not ideal with the 400 that were originally meant to come, but yeah, no, they give a great credit to the team. But yeah, good question, man.
Okay, next up is from Rob Lewis, and Rob Lewis says, absolutely great to see Connor back in Claret and Blue. Although I 100% back the board, is promotion push a risk to the financial stability of the club? Also, can you promote the Unity Group's new monthly football card, £2 a team, with a £100 cash prize? We have raised over £14,000 those last 12 months, and the more money we can raise means more money left in the pot to sign great players. So give a plug then to the Unity Group, who of course sponsor our prediction segment. I'll chuck that question to you, Gareth. Do you think the signings like of Connor Smith are putting the financial stability of the club at risk?
No, I don't. I think if it was going to put it at risk, they wouldn't have done it. They wouldn't have made the signing. I think they're going to look at everything and work everything out, what they can do, what they can't do. So for me, they've gone through the numbers. And they've looked at it, and I don't see it as being a risk. They wouldn't put the club in risk and into more debt for me. So no.
That's good. Okay, I'll stick with you, Gareth. This next question from Stuart Moore. And Stuart says, I believe it's a great signing. No disrespect to Fleming, but I think Connor is a much better player. I believe this signing gives us a great opportunity to finish top. Yes, maybe 4 teams have an equal chance for that top spot, but for me, this cemented us in that top 4 conversation. York, Rochdale, Bournemouth, and now was with Carlisle close behind. Gareth, what do you say to that one?
We'll see what happens at the end of the season. But yeah, it's a it's a positive sign, and it's a there'll be other clubs looking at that and thinking that's some quality they've got there. Why didn't we try and get him or whatever? I know there's Carlisle fans moaning that they're not signing anyone by all accounts. Which is a good thing. So whether Carlisle will be up there at the end of the season, I don't know whether they'll be in that 4 or 5. But it's just concentrating on ourselves, isn't it? And if we can get the quality players in, because as Sellers Fleming's gone out, he was a quality player. If we can replace him, which we have done, and I think he's a more rounded player, like Marco said earlier, then, and he's been here before, and like he said in his interview, he knows quite a lot of the players that are still here as well, so it's easy for him just to get back into the swing of things. So yeah, I think it's a positive, but I still can't see us finishing top.
Do you know, on that, I do wonder if it had been another club that had come in for him and not Scunny, I wonder if it had been as willing to take the risk to move his family and go into the unknown, because it's one thing doing it as a 20, 21-year-old, when you got no commitments, but suddenly when you're getting towards your mid-20s and you got a missus and kid and another one on the way, it's a whole new ball game. So I think for us, the fact that we had him before has really played into our favour. I don't know if we'd have been able to get him to move, the geographical move, because it's, I know we're border Scotland, but it's a fair fucking way, right? Do you know what I mean? Right, next question then. And 2 people ask a similar question, Marco. So Jonathan says, how do you think we will line up now that we have Connor Smith? Plenty of attacking options now. And do you think anyone else will leave? It's a similar question from Tom Shucksmith, but Tom starts with, any of you lot know when HMS promotion to the EFL departs so I can book it off work? The question is, on a serious note, who do you see dropping out the starting lineup for Connor Smith?
Oh, 2 really good questions. We're spoiled a bit, aren't we? I think that front 3, Morecambe, I'd argue, how could potentially start on the left-hand side with Whitehall and Roberts. Eventually, I think Smith will work his way into the 11, just based on pure quality alone. But again, we've seen last year with Carlton's influence, even Federa's influence, titles, promotions aren't won on starting 11, so won on squads.
Good point.
Yeah, so look, I think as a starting 11, there's not many teams in this league that could better a front 3 of Smith, Whitehall, a fully fit Whitehall, and Roberts. So I think ideally that's probably the 3 that Butler wants to get out on a weekly basis. But yeah, no, like I said, I think it's really important to not forget your Roberts and your Howes, because I think they can make a real difference. And again, I know he said he's played midfield, but we're still waiting on Ewing news if he's staying till the end of the season. Rowley, Westbrook staying. We're so spoiled at the minute. And I know we just spoke then about not coming top, but why not? Why not? I think on our day, our starting 11, and again, I know this doesn't happen all the time where you get your fully fit 11 out. I think we're as good as anyone in this league, so I don't see the fear factor. I really think it's there to be had a go at, and there's no reason we can't win the league this year.
I think
we'll know more as well. We'll know more with fixtures we've got coming up as well. Yeah. They're all them teams up there that we've got to play very soon. And I think after that, we'll know a lot more of where we're at and where we'd like to finish at.
Who would have thought we'd be having this conversation at the start of the season? We are talking about going for the title here. I'm genuinely shocked.
Yeah, but again, I know we're going to come on to this later. There's been a lot of talk about it on Twitter. I mentioned it. Obviously, you and Ollie spoke about it on Humberside as well midweek. This is all down to Butler and what he's done at the club. He's been working on a shoestring, and the reason this whole podcast is happening tonight, and it's a big talking point, and Scunthorpe Twitter and social media is what it is today, is because we can make signings like we have today. That's down to Butler and getting promotion in his first season. Yes, albeit we had a big budget, but this year working on the restraints he is. We know the situations off the field, but to keep going how we are on the field, and again, mentioning and competing against these 3, 4 top teams who are working 4, 5 times our budget, I think is just credit to him. And again, this whole Butler contract has gone under the radar, and I think, with respect to Connor Smith, I think he's going to be amazing. I love him, but I think Butler is the biggest signing of the window.
We'll come on to that in just a moment. I have the final question from the fans. Gareth, this one's for you. It's from Steve Dent. And Steve says, who would you like to see United get on loan? And I should prefix this with, Andy Butler's already said on BBC Radio Humberside today, it is a centre forward.
Ronaldo.
Well, why not? Do you know what? I don't know. There's names flying around on Twitter, isn't there?
Mm-hmm.
Danny Rose, Grimsby. I've seen Billy Sharp, as I mentioned a few times, but that's not going to happen. I don't think we're just with what's happened in the past.
And he's playing.
You what? Sorry.
And he's playing.
Well, yeah,
and he's scored.
Yeah, it's like, he ain't coming there.
No, they need all the goals they can get, Rovers.
And what's this thing with past players?
Yeah.
I think
It's
people.
like, he hits two criteria. He's like bang. When you look at the Venn diagram of what Andy Butler wants, played for Scotty before, plays for Donny Rovers now.
No, yeah.
So if you smack bang in the middle of those two, I think you're prime for a transfer link.
But yeah, I don't know. I'll be honest with you.
Do you think we need a target man or sort of a runner? Because I know when we got mentioned about this 2.5-year contract player, I said, well, I was in the car. To be fair, a shout out for Will Waterm here. Yeah. We heard it on the radio, the same as everyone else, on the way to the game on Tuesday, and he said Connor Smith instantly. Before
sources that one.
Yeah, any rumours or anything, and I said that's a great shout. But I thought Alex Reid, and Alex Reid is someone I've been really interested in sort of like running off other players sort of thing. But I don't know if the way Butler's described it, I don't know what you think, Gareth, if it's going to be like a target man sort of player or if it's going to be sort of a runner.
I don't know. I just look at it and think, before we had like a target man in Beck, I know, there's lots of...
And Dawson.
Yeah. What happens with Dawson? He's got to go out on loan for me.
Yeah, he said that. He did say there's been interest on one. So I can imagine Dawson going out. So to me, that stinks. It's not going to be a target man.
Yeah, no. I just don't think we play well with a target man as such, because Beck, when he was here, he'd flick it on with no running off him. I just don't think that works for us with the clientele we've got. So it'd have to be a runner. More pace.
Yeah. We don't want to be sung with another Joe Nuttall. But more of that coming up later on this episode of
if anybody listening to this is there on Saturday and isn't giving Joe Nuttall dog's abuse, I'll be so pissed off. Go for his shoulder. I don't know who's going to be playing centre back, but I know he's had a bad shoulder. Boyce, just get him in one of them.
Listeners, can you tell Marco's been to the boozer before this episode?
That's every single podcast. So
it is every single podcast. You're right there. Right, we are pressed for time. I'd like to make some progress, and I would like to talk about some of the other topics of conversation that came up from Michelle Harness's BBC Radio Humberside interview. I'll go in order of the way I've documented them down on this notepad here. So first of all, she talked about the pitch, Marco. And I know, again, we're deja vu. We had this conversation last season, but again, there was an admission of fault here. And she openly said, should have done more due diligence. And it is a case now of having to nurse it game by game. The club have now been presented with 3 options with regards to pitch care. She obviously didn't go into the detail of those 3 options. Presumably, they're quite technical. But it's disappointing, isn't it? Because, I mean, that pitch betrayed every player on Tuesday night. I mean, it was a hindrance for Clitheroe as much as it was for us, but every touch was betrayed.
I think you've nailed it there. I think, look, we all love Michelle. That interview on midweek showed that, but we've heard it before. We heard it with Fans Forum. I know George and everyone mentioning that we've learned from the pitch, we've learned from mistakes, and with all due respect, we've been dealt with a shit sandwich, haven't we? It's the pitch, if anything, is probably worse than last year. And
it looks, doesn't it?
Yeah, one thing we needed to get right, especially with this great attacking football team that Butler's built, is they deserve a pitch to show that. And no, we don't want to be that them guys or that negative podcast, but it's if anything, it's just a shame. It's a real shame. Look, it's great to hear Michelle not admit. I don't want to put fingers on anyone or saying it's you. But yeah, look, next year needs to improve. I know we've got to do it game by game, and we'll do that. And it seemed to work in our favour last year. But yeah, really disappointing to see. But look, it's 4 or 5 people who've not done this before, not known the situation, and they're learning week by week. And look, it's going to happen, and there'll be more mistakes, and there'll be more great days like today, like signing Connor Smith. So we've just got to take the good with the bad.
Do you not think? Do you not think though that we should get a head groundsman in that knows specifically what they're doing
with regards to football?
With regards to the pitch, yeah, and that just I know it's like. I just feel that's what we're missing.
Yeah, I don't want to go in on people that I don't know, and I don't know the working history, but it certainly is my impression that we're not employing people that have had necessarily a football background. I don't know if that's true. It sounds like they're council workers who've got a relative good history with regards to grounds work and other kind of gardening maintenance. But yeah, if that is the case, I think the conversation needs to be moved on to a sports specialist.
Definitely.
Well, let's turn that frown upside down. Let's talk about something a little bit more positive, because Gareth, I certainly sensed a change in tone and change in mood from Michelle Harness in this particular interview. The narrative and the rhetoric all up to this point in the season has been very much a vibe of consolidation with regards to both off the field and on the field. There has been a lot of talk about the debt. Yes, she did admit that debt is probably still at a similar level and that really hasn't progressed. But the change in tone comes in when she starts to talk about the investment that we will probably start to see now. And she said, the club's in better shape now, looking forward to the future, and we are prepared to push a little bit further and invest that little bit more. She went on to say, this season is an opportunity and quote unquote, we have to go for it, presumably promotion there. And then when she was talking about the incoming signing of Connor Smith, she described it as having gone all out, a player Andy really wanted. The fans will be delighted because it's a signing that Andy wanted and a signing I wanted. A huge change in tone there from Michelle and a real sense of positivity starting to grow. Can you feel that? Can you feel a shift in how the owners are portraying the narrative at the minute?
I think so. I think I'll just tell you right now, I did not listen to the interview. There's a surprise. When I got into the Iron Band, everyone's on about a marquee signing. Do I know who it is? I'm like, I don't even know who's done an interview. I was just bouncing down the road to some house music. But no, I think there is a shift in the fact that we're up there, and that signing Connor Smith is a shift. If they spent money on a player, then that's a positive. And if they're looking to get other players in, a lone player in from a EFL club, it's also a positive. Will we be paying some of those wages? Who knows? But I think there is a. I think you can just feel it as well when you're walking around. You see them around the lounge area and stuff. But yeah, it is a positive, and just yeah. And I think if they're talking about promotion and wanting to, finish up there, then yeah, why not? Because I think at the beginning of the season, it's beyond our wildest dreams where we are. In all fairness, I even think the owners wouldn't have thought we'd be up there.
No.
But that we are, and they're actually doing something to try and keep us up there and try and progress us even more, then yeah, it's a shift in mentality.
Yeah, you get an opportunity in life sometimes, don't you, to have a go at something. So, right, next question then, Marco. Ollie Ewing's contract situation. We know now that her contract has been put forward to him. The ball is currently in his court, and he has expressed a desire to play in the EFL. So, how do you see that situation unfolding?
Yeah, I thought Michelle said the other day. She said, "I wish you'd bloody hurry up." And yeah, look, she's only echoing what every Scunthorpe fan thinks. It's pivotal. I think Ewing is the difference between us potentially winning a league or settling for playoffs, um, or winning playoffs. He is that big a player. Um, Look, the game changed on Tuesday night when he came on. You could see that it's vital and it's pivotal. But look, you can't. We're very blessed to have him. I think like you've just got to enjoy him while he's here. Even the most like what do you call it, blinkered Scunthorpe fan can see. Look, he's going to play at a higher level, and we can't get in his way. He's done everything he can for the club, so I wouldn't begrudge him going on and having a great career, and I hope he does. But let's just hope he can see this season out at Scunthorpe, and potentially going to the EFL with us would be fantastic. And after that, I think every Scunthorpe fan would send him off with flowers. He's been fantastic, and yeah, I think he doesn't owe us anything, but I'd love to see him to the end of the season and help us on this promotion push.
Do you think, though, on the other hand, that getting Connor Smith, who can play in midfield, centre mid, that we've offered a contract to Ewing to say we tried?
No, I think like we said, I think Smith's been bought as left winger, and look.
Well, sorry, there is a point in that because obviously of the Bosman ruling. So because of Ollie Ewing's age, because we have offered him a deal, therefore, if he did go elsewhere, that we would be able to claim some kind of fee on him if we went to a tribunal, which it would.
Looking from the outside in, I mean, I'm talking agents, scumbags. We know that. And nowadays, if you're Ollie Ewing's agent, you are, if anything, you are probably telling him to hold off till the end of the season because we know there's the rumour release clause. It doesn't take a genius to realise he wouldn't be here if there wasn't a release clause. But if he holds on to the end of the season, he's only getting more minutes in the tank, going into a promotion team. He could go to the end of the season, a free agent, a team not having to pay a fee, and arguably get more wages on a week-to-week basis. As an agent, come on, and as a player, it suits him more to do that. So, look, I know Butler's stressed a lot. He also did the same with Fleming, so you can't look into it. But I really do think Ewing will be a Scunthorpe United player to the end of the season, and I hope I'm right. I really do hope I'm right.
One last thing I'd like to talk about with regards to this interview was the talk and the announcement of a junior iron, which hopefully will come into effect next season. Gareth, you didn't listen to the interview, so I'll give you some details now. The details were quite sparse. What we do know is that it is some kind of youth setup associated with the club. Now, obviously, we know we've got links currently with 780, but the club has been without an academy now for, I think, what would this be, the third season without an academy. So for me, I've said it from the start, youth football is the most important thing. I would have put it...
Look at Fleming.
Yeah, I would have put it as the number one priority, genuinely, above even direct recruitment and immediate recruitment this season. I've said this from the start. Gareth, do you share my opinions, and how pleased are you to see that this is starting to progress now?
Are you sure it was to do with football, not just like some youth club? Like a Stunny Bunny pops in every so often. No, it is a positive, like Marco said. There's Fleming, there's Howe. There's plenty of others as well, Dawson. And I just feel that it would benefit the club in the long run, regardless of whether they go up or not. And yeah, it costs money, but there's ways around that and everything as well, So yeah, it is a positive, and if it does need to come up, I think, for the club, for the area as well. 'Cause, losing so many players to other teams roundabout, and I just feel that if the club could offer something, then more people would stay locally, and hopefully progress through into the team.
That's right. Yeah, I'll tell you what we'll do from the INL podcast. We'll try and get a little bit more information and extract what we can from the club over the next couple of weeks. And I'll also try and arrange something with a local football youth specialist and someone who probably worked at the academy before. I'm sure I can do that. And let's try and explore that a little bit over the next few weeks. Moving on now then to the interview with Andy Butler, which was on Thursday on BBC Radio Humberside. There's loads of things that came out of this, so I'll go through this whistle-stop tour. I'll come to you first, Marco. So with regards to some of the injuries, Tyler Denton has trained and is available for selection on Saturday. Unfortunately, though, Ollie Rose has now been ruled out probably for the rest of the season due to that hamstring injury, which has developed a little bit. And good news, though, Jonathan Joshi is back training with the Iron and was actually at the game on Tuesday night. Looks mentally to be in good shape. Physically, though, does have a few scars. A lot of work to get right with regards to strengthening his arm after he did suffer quite a serious laceration in that incident. So, three things there. What do you want to talk about?
No, it's, for starters, if we can't stand anyone else, it's really good to hear about Josh here. Again, awful tragedy what happened. The fact that he's training. I know he's not featuring for us at the minute, but just that his health's on the mend is the main thing. So yeah, that's really good to hear. Ollie Rose has been a real disappointment this season. I'd argue I was as excited for the Rose signing as I was for Smith signing today. I thought that's a real statement of intent. Look, he could play centre back. We've seen him play centre midfield in that CDM role. And I thought he was going to be a real key player this season. So,
And
and
of
look,
course, at full, he played it right back for the.
yeah, and look, like obviously, I watch a lot of I listen to a lot of Talksport, watch a lot of Sky Sports News, and Darren McAntony, the Peterborough chairman, really rated him highly. Peterborough's got a very good youth setup. So yeah, really disappointed, but look, there's nothing Rose can do about that. I'm sure he'd love to be on the pitch, especially in the form we're in at the minute. He'd slot straight into that team. So obviously, you mentioned Humberside the other day, but you'd like to see a centre back come in. Rose would arguably be one of those that could play that position. So I know you got a bit of stick, but yeah, look, we've probably got Boyce who's very consistent. Evans obviously coming back from an injury. The only reason we're not worried about centre halves is because Horton's done so well in that role.
Yeah, he has, but he's not a centre back, is
He's
he?
not. He's not. But I saw him play left back on Tuesday. I preferred him at centre back.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
look, it's yeah, we're blessed. Look, to have one injury in a full squad. We're very lucky. This team's in a lot worse position. But yeah, I would have liked to see a little bit more Rose this season. But again, that's through no fault of his own or a club. So yeah, I think we're in a good. I think we're in good shape. And yeah, interested to hear, but we'll say that.
Gareth Max Brogan has gone out on loan to Leamington Spa on an initial 28-day loan. Your reaction to that one?
I guess we're overrun with midfields, aren't we? Like, it's just getting him out and giving him minutes. No one wants to be sat stagnant on a bench or behind the bench watching a game. So he's out there playing. It's close to home as well for him. So yeah, I'm not surprised. I'll be honest. I think he's been out on loan already. I know you're a big advocate of him, and he does play a good game. So, but yeah, he needs to be playing.
He does.
At the age he is, so
He does.
yeah, just help develop.
He's probably a little bit older than fans realise as well. He is at that point in his career where something needs to happen quickly.
Yeah, he needs to put himself in shot window.
Yeah. Right, let's have a goalkeeper update. So again, I'm referencing the Andy Butler interview on Humberside. Lewis Jones has now been. The indication is that he's in front of Mason Campbell in terms of games and fitness. That was obviously proven right because he was picked on Tuesday night for the FA Trophy fixture. There is a note, though, to say that Mason still has a future with the Iron, but in all likelihood, Mason will probably be the one to go out on loan to get some game time. And an update on Rory Mahardy. He spent the week with Leeds. I think he had a sickness bug, which he seems to have come through. I think the inference there is he probably will be back for the game on Saturday. So, three goalkeepers all mentioned there. Marco, what's your reaction to that one?
Andy Butler, I think he's got a bob on. I think Mahad is your number one. I thought Jones looked very good on Tuesday. The goal was point blank range, couldn't really do anything about it. He made a good save in the first half. I thought his distribution and his overall kicking was very good. And again, it's hard to slander or slight Campbell because we just haven't seen him, barring the first couple of games of the season where he was questionable. So, look, if we can get him out to another team, whether that be Gainsborough's or your Bottisfords or a local side, get him playing, that would be the best scenario for I think everybody. But yeah, I think he is probably third choice at the minute. And look, I think Butler made his bed at the start of the season when he said he's the number one, putting a lot of pressure on him. But look how things have turned out with injuries, etc. I think he's going to have to sort of work his way back up. And it is what it is. Football's a really cruel game, especially for goalkeepers. It's again with Roy Watson. I noticed this week. Is just not anywhere near the team. It's so hard to become a number one at a club for especially you say Roy Watson's young, but he wasn't young. But it's so tough. It's so tough. And once you're there, it's very rarely you get moved unless it's a really bad error or poor form. So yeah, I do feel for Campbell, but yeah, I think Butler's got it spot on at the minute. It's Mahadi, Jones, and Campbell.
And just a note before we move on from that interview, with regards to the imminent, hopefully, incoming centre forward on loan, that currently is in the parent club's hands. They are waiting for a player incoming before that player is released to us on loan. That's as per Andy Butler today on BBC Radio Humberside. Okay, well, I've got through that as quickly as we can, so we'll move on now to our regular segment. This is, of course, Spy in the Camp. Ladies and gentlemen, coming up next then, so it's a return to our fan favourite segment, and I'm pleased to say joining us this week is Dave Salmon from a multitude of things. We're talking Beyond Radio, featured on DAZN, previously host of the Shrimps Verdict podcast, local journalist, and of course commentator of Morecambe. Thanks for joining us, Dave. Really looking forward to your insight. How are you doing?
Well, I mean, I'll be honest with you, Barrow. We've not had the best season, to say the least, for various reasons. So I wish I could speak to him on better circumstances, really. But we are where we are, aren't we? But great to be on your podcast.
No, thanks for joining us. Let's try and paint a little bit of a picture, because I know a lot of fans will have a rough idea about what's happened at Morecambe over the past couple of seasons. But the headlines are these. Jason Whittingham failed to sell the club until the 11th hour, which was just probably the straw that broke the camel's back. When he finally did relent, the sale went through to the Punjab Warriors consortium, and that has obviously started a whole new chain of events. So, yeah, if you could just wrap it up in a couple of minutes, what has been going on with the Shrimps over the past couple of seasons?
We'll try and make this as quick as possible, Barry, because we could go on for a very, very long time about ownership issues. And I know you obviously yourselves at Scunthorpe, you're not immune to having situations off the field yourself, but obviously you've come through that the other side, and you're starting to thrive again now, which is absolutely brilliant. But from our point of view, we got sold in 2018 to a consortium called Bond Group Investments. The main player in that is a gentleman called Jason Whittingham, and various things happened, which I won't bore you with the details with, but various financial situations happened. The club was put up for sale in 2022, and it took the best part of 3 years, well over 1,000 days, to finally complete the sale. And for a very, very long time in the summer, it looked as if we were going to go out of existence entirely. This is against the backdrop on the field of falling from League One. We got promoted in 2021 in the playoffs, playing in the highest ever tier. We had 2 brilliant seasons in League One. We got relegated, all for financial reasons, just didn't have the budget to compete. And then at the end of last season, we got relegated back into the National League for the first time since 2007, which was an absolute body blow, really. But nobody could prepare for what happened over the summer months. The sale was just went on and on, absolutely protracted for many, many months. And the one major player, or the one major buyer, if you will, was this consortium called Punjab Warriors. And it went backwards and forwards, and a deal's been done and the deal's not being done. It took Punjab a very long time to pass the owner and directors tests, the fit and proper persons tests, as people know them, which put another spanner in the works. And then there were all sorts of various other bits and bobs. The upshot of it was we couldn't start the National League season because we didn't have the finances to do so. We didn't have a squad. We only had 5 senior players at this point, and it looked very bleak. The National League gave us a deadline of the 20th of August to get our act together, basically, and prove that we could be a football club. And that was an absolute hard deadline. It looked as if, for all money, we weren't ever going to meet that. And then suddenly, right at the 11th hour, the deal was completed, and the Punjab Warriors consortium took the club over. So we started the season 3 weeks late. We've caught up all the games that we missed now, of course, but we started the season late, got a shed load of players in very quickly. 34 of them in total have come through the door. And since then, it's been a bit of a roller coaster, both on and off the field. But we are still breathing. Our heart is still beating. Unfortunately, it's not been very good on the pitch.
I don't know if it was the first thing chronologically that happened, but I would say one of the things that's had the biggest effect this season was the appointment of rookie manager Ashveer Singh Johal. Obviously, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to look at the correlations there. Obviously you have this Sikh organisation consortium come in with their ownership, and then the first thing they look to do is appoint a rookie Sikh manager, which obviously grabbed headlines at the time. A really brave appointment, it has to be said, based on his managerial experience. And at the time, I think a lot of fans were looking at that and saying, fair play, rolling the dice. They're trying to do something that's a little bit out there. How do you think that appointment has gone down? Because it has to be said, he's received a lot of criticism in recent weeks, not just from Morecambe fans, but from the wider football community. Do you think do you think it's been fair?
Completely fair, yeah. At this stage of the season, the stats don't lie, Barrow, really, do they? We are deep in the relegation zone, which is where we've been for the vast majority of the season. We've only won 5 of 25 league games. We're out of the FA Cup, didn't even make the first round of the FA Cup, lost to the National League North side there. Got hammered 6-2, of course, by Kidderminster Harriers in the FA Trophy this week. Again, a team from a lower division, and we just absolutely, it was unbelievably bad. Absolutely unbelievably bad. I mean, what I would say about Ashveer Singh Johal is, first and foremost, he is a trailblazer.
Yeah.
There's no getting away from that. He is the first practicing Sikh to manage a professional football club in the top 5 divisions in English football history. So he is a history maker. He's also got this absolute unshakable belief in what he's trying to achieve. And in the early weeks of the season, we did start to see signs of what could be an Ashveer Singh Johal team in playing out from the back, and really attractive, exciting football. Probably the best football, or some of it, that Morecambe have ever played, arguably, in spells for the first 3 or 4 games. But unfortunately, that early optimism subsided very quickly. I think teams started to find us out and get wise to what we were trying to do in terms of playing it out from the back and trying to break through the lines and all that kind of stuff. So it's very quickly turned sour. We've not won many games, and it's looking very, very bleak indeed at the moment. We've had some absolute hammerings this season, including a 5-0 defeat against bottom of the table Truro. Gateshead, who were bottom of the table at the time, went 4-0 up against us in the first 9 minutes of the game. We've had another 4-0 hammering. We've had all sorts of really bad results out of both cup competitions, of course, as well, against lower league opposition. So even the most ardent fans of Ashveer Singh Johal have now, I would say, turned against him. I don't think he's got very, very little support left in the fan base now, because I think the fans have lost confidence that we can turn it around. At the start of the season, it was very much a case of, we're a new team. We've got loads of new players in. We've had to get free agents left, right and centre because the transfer window had closed and all this, and players off the PFA list and all that kind of stuff. And we were playing catch up with our games and playing Saturday, Tuesday, not having many training sessions and all that kind of stuff. So I suppose he had a little bit of a free pass in the first couple of months of the season. But as the weeks have gone by, it's not got any better. In fact, we have gone backwards. We have the odd game here and there where we win and we play quite well. We have the odd game where we play pretty well against a good team and then lose. But it's not been great, and the last week or so has not been pretty at all. And we're at the point now where I think 99.9% of Morecambe fans would like to see him leave. I mean, the problem with that is he was appointed by Indian owners in the form of the Punjab Warriors Consortium, and when Punjab Warriors took the club over, they were very clear in why they wanted to take the club over, and that was to increase awareness and participation of ethnic minority groups, Sikh and Indian participation in professional sport. That is one of their main reasons for owning the club in the first place. So they're in a difficult position, really, Punjab Warriors. And I say that now, fully expecting him to be in the dugout against Scunthorpe on Saturday. He might get sacked or he might walk, and what I've just said might be completely redundant. But I fully expect him to be doing either of those things and to be in charge of the team on Saturday.
Just take me into the mind of a commentator then, because some of the results this season have been, well, devastating, for want of a better phrase. I'm thinking of Tuesday night, the exit in the FA Trophy. You eventually lose 6-2 to Kidderminster Harriers, but you're 5-1 down at half-time to a team in the National League North. What kind of picture are you painting there for listeners and viewers?
It's really difficult, Barra. It's really difficult. I think the one thing that I always try to be is, and I think this is the same for any home commentator in inverted commas, you always try and be as positive as you can for the team that you are commentating on week after week after week. And I think that's, to an extent, that's the job. That is, you are the home commentator. You are knowledgeable about the team, and you want them to do. And because, of course, every single Morecambe fan or member of the press wants their club, whoever you support, you want to do well, don't you? You want, and everybody's willing Ashveer Singh Johal to succeed. We are willing him to, but it's not happened. So when you get a hammering like we did on Tuesday night, it's really hard to maintain that level of any kind of optimism, really. And I've had pelters left, right and centre over the last month or two, and I'll take that fully on the chin. You're far too positive. You've got rose-tinted glasses on, and maybe to an extent I did, perhaps. But I think on Tuesday, I think even I, as the most optimistic Morecambe fan or Morecambe reporter, however you want to describe it, sort of, it was the last straw almost, because we needed to win on Tuesday. We needed to have a good performance, and we simply didn't. We just got, it was Sunday morning park football stuff for most of it, and that's doing a disservice to Sunday morning park football, to be honest, because that's how bad it was. So as a commentator, it's difficult sometimes to maintain that I suppose professionalism, really, because I think there comes a time when you've just got to tell it like it is, and unfortunately that's what I had to do on Tuesday.
Let's talk about a bright light. Let's talk about a shining light in this season. And the player that you picked out before we started recording was Miguel Aziz. I really hope I pronounced that correctly. Now, you've identified him as somebody that hopefully can take Morecambe forward this season.
Miguel Aziz is a fantastic footballer. He is from the Arsenal academy setup. He actually played for Arsenal in the Europa League a few years ago. He then got released. He's been to various other clubs. I think he's been to Portsmouth. He's had a short spell at Wigan. And we picked him up from the PFA list as a free agent in the summer. The season had already started. And you could just see from the off, really, he's a midfielder. He's a creative central midfielder. Plays the number 6 or the number 8 role, basically. And just the way he glides across the pitch and his range of passes and stuff, for me, he could easily be League One at the very minimum, or maybe higher. It's almost one of these now, whether it was attitude when he was a bit younger or whatever, manager just didn't fancy him, whatever it might be. It was almost one of these players that you couldn't quite believe was a free agent when we picked him up. He's far too good for Morecambe, and he goes through games sometimes and you think he's having a bad game. He's one of these players who's got the vision that no other player on the pitch has got, and then sometimes he'll try and play a pass and his teammates not expecting it because they've not got that same vision, and it looks like a bad pass. It isn't. It's been made to look. Does that make sense? He's one of those kind of players. Some say he's a bit of a luxury player. I'm not sure I agree with that. I think he's just quality, really, and I think you'll probably, regardless of the result on Saturday, you'll see that he is one to watch. It wouldn't surprise me at all if somebody comes in for him in the transfer window. It
almost sounds like he's too good for the team, in as much as 100%. He's seeing passes and putting ball into areas, and the team, his fellow teammates are not responding to that. Right, another player I really want to talk about is a player who's probably on the other end of the spectrum in terms of the effect that they've had on Morecambe this season. I'm talking about ex-Scunthorpe United striker in Joe Nuttall. Now, when he was at the Iron, I'll tell you now, Dave, he didn't go fantastically well for him. somehow we were able to have Oldham's pants down and managed to secure a fee for him when we passed him on and his services on. I'm looking at the stats so far this season. He's only scored in one league game for you this season. That was 2 goals he got in the 4-0 victory over Boston United. Doesn't look like he's featured in the squad for a lot of the season. Is he one that's flattered to deceive?
I think to a large extent, yes. He's been injured for a little while, Joe, actually. He dislocated his shoulder when we played York at the end of October, so he's been out for a couple of months. Just working his way back. I've got a good chance of starting on Saturday, actually, I would suggest, because I think we've got to do something. We can't keep the same team, and it was pretty much a full-strength team that played Kidderminster on Tuesday night. So I think there will be plenty of changes, I would imagine. And Joe's got a good opportunity. I think his goal return hasn't quite reflected his not performance as such, but certainly his effort on the pitch. He's obviously a big, broad lad, isn't he? And he's a proper target man up top, and likes the ball being played into those certain areas. He's good in the air. And, well, hopefully he's going to score against his former club. But like you say, Barra, his career record suggests differently, doesn't it? And that's been one of our major problems this season. Well, our 2 major problems: conceding ridiculously cheap goals, which I think we did against you in the reverse fixture. At least 2 of the 3 goals we scored.
I thought you should have beaten us that night.
We just should. We'll come on to that in a sec, but because actually it was one of our better performances of the season. But cheap goals conceded at the back, which you'll try and exploit on Saturday, no doubt. And we just haven't got a goal-scoring number 9 who can put the ball in the back of the net on a regular basis. And unless we recruit one, and it's no offence to Joe Nuttall or any of our other strikers, unless we get one in the transfer window, I'm not sure we can get enough points to stay up, to be perfectly honest. We've only got 20 points already at the moment from 25 games. Probably need another 30 or 32 historically to stay up in the National League. So that's 10 wins from 21 games. Basically, we have to win every other game between now and the end of the season. And we've won 5 out of 25 so far. So, do the maths.
We said after that game, we thought, maybe it's a lazy comment, but we thought you were a decent keeper away from getting a result that night.
Well, we've got a decent keeper now. We've got Jamal Blackman in goal. And he's a player who has shone, really, as he should, I suppose. He's got lots of EFL experience. He's a penalty-saving expert as well. He's saved 3 spot kicks already this season. And he's just got that towering presence, hasn't he? 6'7", and he's about 6'7" wide as well with his wingspan. And he's just that presence in net that we were severely lacking, really. Whether we'd have got many more points if we'd have signed him at the start of the season instead of getting him in October, who can tell? But his short-term deal ends in a couple of weeks. He's going to play on Saturday against you, but in the next week or so, he might be off because his performances must have been spotted by EFL clubs, and he might be moving back into the Football League. I hope he stays. I really hope he stays. But yes, you got one to watch there.
Right then, I've kept you for far longer than I promised, but there is just one last question. We always end on this with our guests, and that is for a score prediction ahead of this weekend's fixture.
It's really hard to quantify this one, Barra, because we're coming off the back of a 6-2 hammering, and I think the atmosphere at the Mazuma on Saturday, if it's not going well, if you score early, it will turn ugly. I think it's going to be toxic in any way, because of just where we are in the league and what's been going on. But if you score early, I think it could turn into be another terrible afternoon for us. The reality is we've now got to start picking up wins against fancied sides, of which Scunthorpe United are one of the fancied sides. I mean, you're almost a nailed on playoff spot already, aren't you, with the way it's gone? So we're going to have to pick up some wins against high up teams. I'm not sure Saturday's going to be one of them, I'm afraid. And as much as I hate to say it, I think it's going to be a Scunthorpe victory.
Can I push you for a score?
I knew he was going to say that. Damn it. I can't see, unless there's a significant sea change, I can't really see much past Morecambe 0, Scunthorpe 3, to be honest.
Well, that was a great one. I know I say this every week, but Marco, that was phenomenal. It was a really good insight there into what it's like to be a commentator, for the team that you support, but also documenting not just the good times, but the bad times, which, of course, for Morecambe, there has been a lot of them in recent years.
Yeah, and look, I've heard rumours of a lot of people watching on these fire sticks or dodgy boxes, but actually hear the away commentators rather than the home. So look, I can only talk about other people's experiences. But yeah, no, it's really good to get an insight of obviously how they see the club. I think he was a brilliant Spider camp. Um, Interesting to hear about Joe Nuttall. And he thinks he might feature on Saturday, even start. So yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. It's one of those games where, to me, it's a banana skin. You never know what you're going to get with Morecambe. I still think they'll stay up. I know he's had a lot of stick, um, but they're one of those teams where they'll win one, lose two, then win another. And I think
That is exactly what Dave said.
yeah, and I really do. I really do think they're that team. So yeah, it'd be really interesting on Saturday. But yeah, as for spying camp, as far as spying camps go, I thought it was a really good one.
And there was a conversation there, guys, about Joe Nuttall, as Marco alludes to. Now, I think Dave was kind of flying the flag for Joe Nuttall. He seemed to think that although he's maybe not bagged the goals that you would hope for from a striker, he's only got two so far this season. He's mainly due to injuries that he hasn't featured more. He seems, on the face of it, to be quite impressed with him.
Yeah,
is that the player you saw in Claret and Blue?
Well, when he mentioned about him being good with his head, I genuinely thought he was at Scunthorpe. I thought it was. Look at Mac. No, genuinely, I thought he was a good header of the ball.
Hey, do you know what shocks me? That like 5,000 people weekly are tuning in to hear what you have to say about football. It astounds me, Gareth, because your judgment is terrible.
It astounds me, I'll be honest with you. But I think Dave as well just wanted some change in the squad. In the team starting 11, he just wants someone else up top, just to try anything. He might even put himself up top if he gets a chance. But yeah, like you said, he was saying that they've got to win half of the games that they've got left.
Yeah,
to have any chance really. So 10 games out of 20, and they've won 5 out of 25.
One more thing I want to speak about Marco is Dave, and I brought up something you'd said to me after we played Morecambe, and you said so impressed with Morecambe. If they get a keeper, they'll be all right. And he's saying what frustrates him is the amount of clubs that have said to him, if you get a keeper, you'll be all right. All you need is a striker and you'll be all right. It's like, it seems like they're so close, but they're a million miles away.
Yeah, well, looking from the outside in, results-wise, yeah, they are a million miles away. But I mean, we saw firsthand at Glanford Park, I thought they were a very good team on the night, especially in the scenario where they were very weak. And look, they bought Blackman in net, a very experienced league keeper. And you thought maybe it's sort of starting to piece together. But yeah, look, I've just got that feeling. I do think we'll stay up still. And again, like I said, they'll get those results, where they do score enough goals. Yeah, I do think there's teams worse than Morecambe.
I think the shout is though, if they get a keeper, they'll be all right. If they get a striker, they'll be all right. If they get a new manager, they'll be all right.
He won us without sounding really bad. He's not getting sacked. He's been bought in.
No, he's not.
This is exactly what Dave said, isn't it? What Dave
with those owners, they've bought him in. It's really hard to say.
But it's like Dave says, though, isn't it? The reason he's been brought in and the reason that they bought the club is they're trying to get this sport and trying to get the sport to South Asian countries, right? That's what the Punjab Warriors are literally trying to do. They're trying to increase their reach in South Asia.
But why should that fall on Morecambe fans to be their experiment? It's true. It's true. Look, in an ideal world, he has a really good season. He takes them up. He keeps them up. But why should that be Morecambe's problem that there's not enough South Asian coaches? And look, there's not. There really isn't. And it's a shame. But at the end of the day, if he's not doing a good enough job, he needs to be out. And I do feel for a lot of Morecambe fans what I see on social media, because especially with interviews after, he's not acknowledging fans and not sort of getting the club. He's sort of like in his own mindset. Yeah, I really do have a soft spot for Morecambe fans. Obviously, after Saturday, I hope they do well. But yeah, no, it is wrong. It is really wrong.
Right, let's move on then to our prediction segment. And this is, of course, sponsored by the Unity Group. And this is how we'll finish this week's podcast because there's not really much to do with the FPL because of the FA Cup weekend. So let's have our predictions now. So, Marco, kick us off. How will the game finish on Saturday?
I'm going 3-1 Iron. I think we're quite an attacking team, but we've got enough. I'm going 3-1 win.
And Gareth?
Smith hat-trick.
Smith hat-trick?
No, I'm joking. I think Whitehall will continue his good form. I think he'll definitely get a goal, but I couldn't tell you the other two.
And Gaz?
I want to say 8-0, but that'd be stupid. But I just think there'll be a reaction after losing against Kidderminster.
Yeah.
In the FA Trophy. They've got to have a reaction from that. So I will go for a squeaky 1-0 to us.
I'll tell you what, Gareth, I'm going to back you up. I'll also go with a 1-0 victory for the Iron.
Yeah.
So all that's left to say is thank you for joining us, whether it's been Spotify, Amazon, YouTube, wherever it is that you listen and watch the Iron Hour podcast. We thank you for joining us this week, as you do in most weeks. If this is your first time joining us, then we hope you've enjoyed it. You can catch us at the same place and probably the same time next week for your regular instalment of all things Scunthorpe United and a little bit beyond. But all that's left to say is up the Iron.